Hello and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update for everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. Today is November 3rd. My name is Whack Whack Attack and I've got a whole lot of updates for you all. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to bring to your attention is the new version of the smartnode stack, which has been a month in the making, as Joe says here. So overnight, we got the release, and Joe says this is a highly recommended update for all users because it includes many important client updates and some important dependency updates, including replacing the old Docker Compose script with a new one. We added ENS support thanks to 0x4nax, beginning of phase 2 of MEV boost, which makes it opt out instead of opt in, and adding the new profile system for easier configuration. Auto detection of modern versus portable container support for MEV Boost and Lighthouse. Many more things, including community additions from 0x4nax, Waldorf, Patches, and Ramana. This is the too many details to summarize here, including some important breaking changes to be aware of if you're using an unsupported operating system or Linux distribution for your node. So please read the full notes before upgrading. So Joe made that very clear right here. Please make it clear there as well. So then there's a link to the release notes where you can go to on GitHub and have a look up everything before you upgrade. I have not upgraded yet. However, after I finish recording this and getting it out, I will go and have a look, and I will upgrade my system. So I'm really excited about that. So that's that. Next we have this update from Langers that came in also last night, kind of around the same time. And he says, hey everyone, we've raised ODAR proposal number 7 to apply the last part of the feed distributor fix. And then there's a proposal there. It says this proposal applies commission rate updates to nodes affected by the feed distributor bug. A new contract Rocket hotfix node fee is being deployed that will cycle through the incorrect commission rates and update them accordingly. And then there's an address for that contract. The incorrect commission rates errors have been loaded into the smart contract using the following transactions and have been locked so that it can be reviewed and verified before we apply the changes. And then there's links to Etherscan contracts, Ethereum contracts on Etherscan, and there's a lock contract there as well. It says the following utility can be used to verify the commission rate changes, and then there's a GitHub link, and it says attached is the Sigma Prime audit for the associated fix, and there's a PDF attached to the document, to the post. It says the ODA will vote on the proposal between November 7th and November 22nd. Please let us know if you have any questions or concerns. So if you are waiting to have your fees distributed to you, and you are not part of the smoothing pool, then don't do that yet. It's still going to be another couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a tiny bit more before we'll have that ready to go. I guess the ODAO proposal between November 7th and November 22nd. So I think that's just a maximum window. I'm not sure if it has to run for the whole time, provided we get 8 votes. I'm not sure exactly. For someone watching this, maybe they can explain the process in the comments or let me know and I can mention it in the next video. But yeah, you can. I think it might be before then, but I'll let you guys know when that happens. So if you're waiting for that fix to happen before you claim your fees, just sit tight and I'll let you know what's going on with that. Next, we had this really great post from Joe, who's kind of sharing an idea that he had. So there's a feature that Rocket Pool has that right now is exclusive to Rocket Pool, and that feature is the smoothing pool, right? So for those of you who don't know, the smoothing pool works in a way that all the people who are part of the smoothing pool set their withdrawal address for their execution rewards to the smoothing pool. Now, what are the execution rewards? The execution chain rewards are the rewards you get for MEV and the rewards that you get for tips on your proposals. So those two they're not part of the consensus rewards, they're part of the execution rewards. So those are rewards that are available right now. But what Rocket Pool did, what Joe did with the smoothing pool, which is an absolutely astonishing achievement, is that people can join this pool. So if any proposals that you get in that month, you give all of your rewards to the pool, and then people share it out at the end of the rewards period every 28 days. So this is an incredible feature because it makes the rewards that you get a little bit more predictable every month, instead of waiting for, that mythical lottery block that might or might never come. So why am I talking about this? Well, Joe wrote this post saying, based on the number of nodes opted in so far and the enthusiasm I've seen over swapping from solo staking to Rocket Pool purely for access to it, I'm reconsidering my position on giving solo stakers access to the smoothing pool. High level, absolutely zero implementation details yet, maybe not even possible. Thoughts? Let anyone get in. So it doesn't matter, like, as long as you run your own node, you can get in. So if Coinbase wants to join, they're welcome to join. If Lido want to join, they're welcome to join. Anyone can get in, right? It says require collateral upfront equal to which we expect to cover the typical cost of theft. 2.4 ETH, I think we settled on. Could be an ETH, an RPL, whatever. So this is a point that I want to actually bring up. So Kane released really good information about the MEV, about the smoothing pool, about what the average blocks might be, how frequently you can get certain size blocks, and how all that works. In a couple of months, just less than 7 weeks that we've had the smoothing pool, the biggest block we got was 42 ETH. But I think after that, we haven't really gotten too many more than 3 or 4 ETH. I think there's been maybe 10 in total out of a few thousand blocks. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe a few thousand blocks. No. Yeah, I think so. Maybe slots, right? So it's very rare to get those lottery blocks. So if someone joins and they try to steal that, we need to have some kind of protection, right? Because they're stealing it from the ETH holders and the rest of the people in the community, in the smoothing pool. So right now, to be part of the smoothing pool, you put up your 16 ETH as a node operator, and then you put up your RPL 10%. And that is more than enough to cover any kind of thefts. However, in the less ETH bonded mini pool 8 that we're voting on at the moment, and that we should be getting in a few months' time, the collateral goes down to 8 as a minimum ETH for your node, and then 2.4 ETH worth of RPL. So that's 10.4 ETH worth. And then there's a possibility of us going down to LEB4s, which is where you provide 4 ETH as a node operator, and then you provide 2.8 ETH worth of RPL as your collateral for that. So Joe's saying that the cost should be around 2.4 ETH worth of RPL. I think that's the only way we can do it, is that we make people buy the RPL. I think that would be a huge gain for the protocol, for everyone really involved, if we could do that. And then pull the bond if they get caught cheating, since the smoothing pool rewards are Since the smoothing pool rewards are controlled entirely by the ODAO's reward trees, there's no contract logic required. If you get caught cheating, the ODAO just ignores you when generating the tree, and you get nothing. Have a public supplemental RPL insurance pool to cover MEV theft that goes beyond 2.4 or whatever bond we settle on. So speculative RPL is put to work for the good of the protocol. So first of all, let me tell you my opinion, and that is, I really love this idea. I think it's something that a lot of people in the Ethereum community will be very interested in. I think some people might balk at the idea of having to buy RPL to pay the bond, to cover the possibility of theft. However, I think people who understand the utility of the smoothing pool might be willing to do that regardless. It will definitely make the pool of people who will join smaller, but I still think it'll be in the thousands, if not potentially tens of thousands of people, validators that will join. So I'm really excited about this. I think the community kind of has a positive object says require the collateral in RPL, and then people finally get additional use cases for RPL they're looking for, which is huge plus. I'm so happy about that. I think that would be fantastic. And then without thinking too hard about theft for a moment, seems like a no-brainer for an RPL use case. And then Joe says, I've given this the absolute minimum amount of thought, which is fine, right? And he goes on to say that this might be a very difficult implementation. It might be hard to get done, technically speaking. And Patricio says, I'm supportive of making the smoothing pool public and requiring a bond in RPL. I'm supportive of remunerating good actors from the MEV theft penalties, i.e. slashed RPL pays to pay members who want cheating in the interval. I'm not yet supportive of supplemental insurance pool, since we would have to incentivize it. So that's kind of, I think a lot of people are talking about that. But I think that having the bond would mean that it'd be very rare for people to try to steal that. So I don't think the amounts would often go more than that, like it'd be, I don't know, like we'd have to think about it. Like Joe said, this is very, very, very beginning thoughts. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion happening about this in the next few weeks and months potentially, but this is something that I would definitely support. I think this is really amazing, and this is the kind of stuff that we should be doing in the community. So that's really great to see. Okay, I've got a couple of governance posts for you now. Let me just move my screen so you all can see it a little bit more clearly. Let me move my, hold on. Let me move my video over as well to face the other side. So we've got this first governance post from Wanda. So Wanda was kind of disappointed with the way the LEB 8 vote went. And he thinks that the vote has been a disaster, and that it was really problematic for a few reasons, and that we need to be better going forward. So in the governance forum, Wanda spent a lot of time writing this post, and he kind of breaks down what he thinks we should change, how it should go. And he says, make governance more resilient. So Wanda, puts forward a bunch of ideas for what he thinks would work for this. So one of the things that he says is specify promising community sentiment, which is a part of RPIP 4, I believe, and it kind of like sets the rules for how the governance process should work. And in there was this like kind of vague idea of what does community sentiment mean, and Marceau and Waldorf kind of got into a bit of a disagreement about it, because Marceau felt that for the LEB 8s, Marceau felt that there wasn't enough community support, and Waldorf felt there was. So now he says, let's help refocus the debate. I suggest specific language such as affirmative support from at least 33% of voters in the forum poll with at least 30 votes. And then he says numbers can be adjusted, but like it gives an idea of where you can be. He said higher threshold for vote success. So most other protocols use higher threshold for the vote success. I suggest 66% minimum support for simple approval polls and 15% margin of victory for mutually exclusive multi-choice votes. He goes on to say lengthier debate times. At the moment, the debate time is supposed to be 7 days before it goes to RPIP, and he's saying that the debate time should be increased to 21 days. And the argument that Wanda makes is that it will slow things down. However, it will also slow things down, but it will mean that we are a lot more robust in our thinking about how we go forward. And then he says required research and RPIP 1 changes. So he goes on to explain about how votes are a forcing function for the community, and we should only get to that point once enough information is available for everyone to make decisions. We especially should only make tokenomics decisions after examining an abundance of hard research. So there was definitely a lack of hard research for LEB 8s with the maximum collateral. People kind of making up things on the fly. Arguments were getting spun up as the discussion was going. It would have been much better if people had been able to do that beforehand, and I think this is a great opportunity to learn lessons. So next, he says, for example, RPIPs must be fully complete to be marked as finalized with no missing terms or sections, and RPIPs must not specify a governance process which allows the proposal to be changed after finalization, and RPIPs may be overridden only through ratification of a new RPIP which follows the same standards set forth for all RPIPs. So it adds like levels of bureaucracy basically. In future research, the above suggestions are the most relevant changes which can be made to improve process immediately. There remain to be other research initiatives. There remain other research initiatives which also be considered, such as increased civil resistance and accountability for governance participation. I encourage more engagement in these topics elsewhere. So Waldorf said about the vote happening that he disagrees, that regardless of the result, he's been impressed with how the debate has gone for the most part. And then he acknowledges that there were some issues with voting and some people in the community kind of like attacking and saying like being unpleasant. However, he says it's reasonably good. And then going point by point, he says, I strongly agree with this. He doesn't agree with the 66% forum poll approval. Must win by 15%. And he says the first issue is this isn't always fully defined. Like in its latest vote, would that mean no LEBs for now, since no option is clearly clearing this bar as of now? So that's something interesting that we'd have to figure out. With 3, he says there'll be no LEBs. With 4, he says first the stuff targeted explicitly by me and my RPIP, not sure why an RPIP. And then he's just like going on to describe other things there. And then Epineph gets involved and says that I agree with most of your points, but not the conclusion. Sure, this vote was messy, mistakes were made, temperatures rose and words were said, feelings were hurt, and at the end of the day, the result of the vote are only meaningful in so much as the developer team agrees with them, and like all tokenomics, they may change again well before most people are affected by node operator ETH or PETH collateral rates. He says, but to me, this was good for Rocket Pool, credible amount of engagement, and most of it was positive. Many people who never thought seriously about tokenomics tuned in, and many people who never thought they could influence the financial system cast a vote, and their vote mattered. This was not RPIP that was spoon-fed for a 99% approval vote. I suspect in 6 months we'll talk about this as a cautionary tale, but I seriously doubt any lasting damage is done, much less destruction. And definitely the time to judge that is long after the vote has concluded. We will learn from this about better ways to run our governance structures and harness the passion that is flowing out of the community, better communication, and hopefully better ways of interacting with each other. We'll make changes to the protocol that will make future votes better. We can do better, and we will, but we are only 1 year old and we have a lot of growing to do. So that was really interesting from Epineph. But I think this discussion just started, and I think there's a lot of way to go. But overall, I kind of like the idea that, we should be making changes to make our governance process more robust. However, we need to discuss it as a community and like try to come to an agreement of what that might look like, because I think people do have conflicting ideas. So next thread is another one by Epineph, who was talking about black swans. So this is one of the things that we like. The argument, basically, I'm not going to read through all of it, but the argument is that black swans are sudden and devastating events that are extremely unlikely to occur and thus very difficult to protect against. If they don't happen, any capital spent to prepare is wasted. However, if they do occur, almost always more severe than what was prepared for. Probably the most feared from the standpoint of the Rocket Pool is double attestation. Basically, like everyone in Rocket Pool gets slashed for some reason, or like there's some big issues like that. So then he goes on to explain about what his idea is about, the RPL liquidity not being sufficient, and if there's ways to reduce injury to RETH, and it gives some ideas like increase ETH bond, decrease number of mini pools. LEB obviously intend to do the opposite, find a way to add liquidity RPL so it can be used in insurance, or make a different insurance system, decrease the correlation of Rocket Pool validators to Ethereum. Validators / e.g. have high number of minority clients, better education upgrades, etc. So then, he comes back with a bit more ideas. Noshua says both interesting designs for the RETH pool. I'd like to know how a Black Swan event is detected and coverage is triggered. Can we do it without the ODAO? And then asks like some more questions. Mao says Rocket Pool was built with a clear concept of RPL used as additional collateral. We haven't seen what even something comparably relevant like the recent LEB8 collateral discussion stirred up. I think the main approach should be to do everything possible reasonable to strengthen RPL in market cap and liquidity, and improve the efficiency of the collateral liquidation process as much as possible to enable it to provide the security it's supposed to. Of course, that security has to be paid for. You'd have to pay for liquidity incentives to get RPL that liquid. That's really expensive, and will it actually work? And then Valdorf comes in and says, can we take a step back and discuss why we need to improve our black swan coverage? Even if we used strictly LEB4s and has zero RPL collateral, we would currently have almost 40,000 ETH protecting our 2% market share versus Lido's 5,000 ETH covering their 30% of the total Ethereum staking market share. So there's a huge disconnect. He says, is there a strong reason that being 100 times better than the market leader is insufficient? So I think that's a really good point. I think this discussion is going to go on as well. So I'm really happy to see that there's so many discussions happening. There are a lot of other discussions happening as well in the forum. I implore you to go and have a read and poke around. Such as a proposal to switch to linear voting to resist attacks, and grants bounty scoring rubrics, arguments in favor of protocol ETH. There's a lot of discussion that's happening here. I think it's really worth your time to go and have a look and poke your head around and figure out what's going on in there, because there's some really amazing stuff. So definitely poke around the forum. I think it's a really valuable resource. So next, we had this really interesting thing happen last night, where we got data from snapshot.org, which is Invis's bot. It says snapshot vote added, and then there's an Ethereum address, and then the vote was for scale with node operator ETH and scale with protocol ETH. And then when you look at the voting power, it was 1,489 votes, which is I think 3 times bigger than or maybe even 4 times bigger than the second largest vote. So basically, trading found out. So someone, Ludicrous, shared a screen capture of that, and Nick says, oh, Marco voted. So for those of you who don't know, Marco Barco and Patricio had a whale marriage a couple of months ago, and Marco is providing the ETH and Patricio is providing the RETH. Sorry, they're providing the RPL, and they made they joined forces together and started 5 nodes that I think stake 2 million RPL tokens in total. I'm not 100% sure about that. And hundreds of many thousands of ETH with that as well. So there's the biggest voting block, the biggest staking team. I think they've got 1,500 mini pools, I think. Yeah, for somewhere around that number, 1,500 mini pools. So this vote was a huge deal. One of the reasons why I wasn't expecting and why people have been responding with the turtle emoji is because Patricio came into trading a couple of days ago, and when people asked him, hey, what are your thoughts about the votes and what are you going to do, and he just responded by saying, I like turtles. And I think a lot of people took that to mean that Patricio wasn't going to vote. So I think a few people were quite surprised by this vote coming through, which is why people had the laughing sign next to that as well. Also, another reason why it's the laughing sign is because the 2 things that they voted for were kind of the opposite argument in a sense. So that was really strange as well. So a lot of people spent a lot of time talking about what the vote meant, how it changed, because what was really interesting is right before that vote happened, at one point in the evening, there was only 200 vote difference between scale with node operator ETH and scale with flat ETH, basically. So that vote was getting really close, and it was going to be a nail-biting finish. But because of the way the vote went, now it's almost guaranteed pretty much, unless Patricio and Marco change their vote, that scale with node operator ETH is going to win. So there's more turtles, and people started talking about it, right? And being kind of object said, I find it funny that the default selection will not be 12 plus 36. Let's see if it has any impact. And then people saying, was it Marco or Patricio? And people kind of not sure, was saying NETH and PETH. So it's kind of it was kind of like, I personally, like, this is just my opinion, but I thought it was kind of, and I don't know why that vote happened, right? First of all, so I don't know why even vote, because node scale with node operator ETH was winning, and it was winning by so much that the p-ETH vote had pretty much kind of abandoned ship and was jumping to the flat ETH vote to try to like bolster that. Sure, the vote was getting a little bit close, but like, why not just vote for one option, the option that you actually like want to happen? Because I don't know. Like, I'm still kind of confused about it. People have tried to explain it to me, but I've still not exactly sure why that happened the way it did. Anyway, it turns out later in the night, Patricio. Oh wait, sorry, hold on. Oh, I forgot to change my screen back. It turns out later in the night that it wasn't actually Patricio who voted. Sorry about this. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. If you have been like missing the edge of the screen for the last few minutes, I'm so sorry I didn't change it back after the DAO section. I've got the links in the show notes anyway, so you can have a look. So Patricio comes in this morning and he says, I didn't vote, implying that it was Marco who voted. So I don't know what their relationship is, how they like arrange that. But yeah, I think there was some communication issues there about who's going to vote for what. So yeah, that's definitely like, you know, spurred up some conversation and like made people think about what was happening, how that was going. So let's have a quick look at the vote now. Right now, like just as a few minutes ago, the scale with node operator ETH, which is the 12 ETH max collateral option, has 6,400 votes, which is at 60% of the vote, so 61%. The flat number of ETH, which is the 24 ETH max collateral, which is the position that I was kind of championing, has 4,700 votes, and the scale with protocol ETH has 3,000. That's the 36 ETH vote, has 36,000 votes. Sorry, not 36,000 votes, 3,100 votes. I don't know where 36,000 just came from. Yeah, you can see that right here on the snapshot vote page. And I was going to talk about governance stuff some more today and about the vote and where the discussions were going, but since that vote came in, it's kind of futile to address those points really, because it's done and dusted. There are, I think, a day and a bit left, like a day, like 36 hours, 37 hours left for this vote at the time I'm recording this video. It's not going to change. So the vote's done, and we'll have that confirmation in about 36 hours time. So most likely I'll talk about that in my video, my next video. There is a strong chance I'm taking off the weekend. There was some like issues about yesterday's episode about whether I was going to record it or not, and at the end I ended up recording it because I felt like it was a really important episode, and I feel like, you know, I've made over 70 episodes in a row now, going back over 3 months. I've not missed a single day, and I think I need a break, so I'm going to take a long weekend for myself. There is a chance that I will make an episode, however there's also, it's more likely that I won't. So it all depends how things work out, if I have some time or not, but it's really like time intensive, so I don't think I will. So I'm going to take the weekend off, so I'll most likely will see you all on Tuesday next week, and I don't know if I'll be able to give like a full update of the 4 or 5 days worth of things that I'll miss, but I'll try my best to at least read trading and like take part in things, and try to like make my notes as I'm going along over the weekend instead of sitting down and doing it all in one go. That will definitely help get an episode out on Tuesday for sure, but I'm not sure if there'll be one on Friday or Monday. So if you get an episode, then that's great, but there's a chance that you won't get an episode, so just keep that in mind. But on that note, I hope you all have a lovely weekend if I don't see you, and yeah, I'll make a video soon. And yeah, okay, so another thing, sorry, just as I was about to finish, a lot of people have sent me really, really lovely messages of support, and truly I appreciate every single one of them, like 100%. Like, it's just incredible that there's so much love for me in the community, and it really means a lot to me. And like, I really like that. And people are concerned that I'm burning out. I think it wasn't rocket fuel that's burning me out necessarily, but like this last week has been really tough because of the vote, and like trying to put yourself out there, and like it's just really overwhelming with what's going on. And I think now that the vote is pretty much done, hopefully, you know, we can come out the other side and try to be more galvanized as a community. And I think that won't be as draining then. Another thing is that I really love making rocket fuel every day. It's something that I absolutely adore doing, and it gives me so much value as well. Like, not just that I give back to the community, but it just actually is something that I really love doing. So this actual making of rocket fuel, I think, isn't what's draining for me. It's just the community itself was draining, and I don't think it was just me. I think there was a lot of people who were exhausted from everything that's happened in like the last week and a bit. So thank you so much for looking out for me. Thank you so much for sending messages of support, of love, of kindness, and messages of concern, and telling me to take a break. So I think I'm going to listen to some of you guys who are telling me to take a break, and I'm going to take a long weekend. And it's got nothing to do with like the result of this vote. I'm not bitter or anything like that. I think the main thing is that, you know, we get LEB 8s. That's the main thing, and the fact that we're getting LEB 8s is really, really amazing. And we can figure things out as we go along, I think, as a community, when we're seeing if things are working or not. So I really hope that's the case, and I think that will be the case. So thank you for letting me do this little like spiel at the end of the video today. But I love you all, and I love this community. I love being part of this community. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I just got elected to the GMC, so I'm stuck with you guys for a while. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being so supportive. And yeah, I hope you all have a great weekend ahead. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.